Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is Zero from TechDragon.info, and today we take a look at the test server and everything on it. Quite the update, this one. Well, let's start off right here with the Russian tech tree. As you can see, we now have up to tier 10 artillery. The Object 261 has been moved from tier 8 to tier 10. 2 new artilleries have been introduced. 3 new, actually. Basically the whole thing has been shuffled around and renamed and rebranded, and so some of these are new or just have a new name, or so it's not that many new tanks, it just looks like it. So I'm just gonna go through it real quick and I'll stop at the French ones, doesn't really matter. German ones, tier 3, not quite sure what they've done here. This whole little clusterfuck here. So you go from the tier 2, and then you have 2 choices, then you have another 2 choices, and then it goes back into 1. Then my question is, what's the point of all of these? Why introduce this one when they already had this one? Wouldn't that have been more logical? So that's rather beyond me. Again, 2 new ones inserted at this level, and the tier 8 moved to tier 10. You'll see the same as the American. One thing to note is the M7 Priest is listed as a tier 3. This I'm pretty sure is a boo-boo, because according to the patch notes there's no such tier 3. So these two should be switched around. The M37 is still the tier 3, and the M7 is still the tier 4. So don't get your hopes up in buying them and then getting the other one and selling them for money and that sort of stuff. It's gonna get switched back. This will get fixed. So for the French, we have new ones here. It seems like, although I haven't tested it, but it seems like this is another turreted TD. So the tier 9 will also have a turning turret. There we go. Turret speed, 22 degrees a second. Bingo. So you don't get a turret upgrade, interestingly enough. But there's most definitely a turret on there. So the tier 9 as well as the tier 10 will have a turret. The tier 8 will not. As you can see here, it's a fixed hull TD. And the British, of course, don't have an artillery line yet. The Saxton is not implemented in this version because all of the changes to the artillery, and they're gonna need to gauge all these changes, if they're good or bad, or if they need to tweak them, and it's understandable that they don't want to introduce a new artillery while they're still tweaking out everything else. As soon as you have everything tweaked, you have a baseline of those, then you can introduce a new one and have it scaled down to whatever tier it is and damage and whatnot. So that makes a lot of sense. Let's head back to the Americans. Doesn't really matter, but if we take a look at the vehicle details here, well, actually, let me just go in and look at the gun. .92 accuracy. Now, I have already seen people screaming in comments and posts and everything. Relax, take a deep breath, it's not what you think. Okay? You're sitting down, you relaxed, stop screaming, good. This means nothing. That it's .92, and you'll see this across the board with all the artillery, that their accuracy has been decreased. But it hasn't. Your accuracy is still roughly the same. I know, the value doesn't say so, but trust me, it does. Okay, think at the aiming circle. You're zooming in, you have this circle, you hit within the circle, right? That's your accuracy. Now what they've done is they decreased the dispersal of your shots. So your shots will tend to go more towards the center of where you're aiming rather than the edges. Before you had about a 20% chance of your shot going towards the edge of your aiming circle. This has been reduced to, I think, about 5%, although I'm not entirely sure. So this means that overall your shots are gonna land in the middle a lot more than before. So to counteract the problem with artillery, because let's face it, we don't want artillery to be more accurate. I mean, I'm very much against artillery, don't get me wrong. But they are accurate enough as they are. If they would be any more accurate, they would be severely overpowered. So we don't want that. So that's why the overall accuracy is worse, but you aim more towards the center anyways. So those two cancel each other out. So the accuracy is still the same. Don't worry. It's all good. Good? Good. The same goes for any and all guns. If you just shoot with a regular tank, you aim all the way down, your shots will tend to go a lot more towards the center. And I've played about 10-ish games on the test server today, and it does. It really, really does shoot a lot more accurately. I noticed a difference. Definitely noticed a difference. Shots are now going where you aim, and it's just wonderful. So, big improvement. I really think that is one of the biggest things that they've done in this update. And it will have a huge effect on everything. So, let's move right along. Let's see, we have a new Russian camouflage. I don't know which one we're in here, but I think this one is new. Let me check. One new winter camouflage, so yeah, I'm pretty sure this one is new. In all fairness, it's pretty bloody ugly. Let's see, 2 new summer. That would be, I think, this one? No, that one was already in there. I am not sure which one. No. No, I think this one? Yeah, and this one. Yep. This one actually doesn't look too bad. Nice and calm. So, I'm not sure. It's one of, or well, 2 of these 3, I'm pretty sure. It might be this one and this one. This makes you pretty damn green. Holy shit. So, that's it for the Russian camouflage. The Germans. Let's see. The Germans got 1 desert. Let's take a look. Desert. No. That one. Oh my god, that's hideous! Why? Why would anybody want to run around with that? Wow. I'm not quite sure what the point of it is, so that they can't see the angles of your tank from a distance? That the angles look differently, like that this would be your tank straight on or something? I have no idea what the whole bloody point of this is. I would say this looks horrifically bad. And 2 new summer. Let's see. Well, I guess you can make your leopard spotty now. No, that one isn't new. I have to admit, I don't use camouflage on most of my tanks, so I'm not 100% sure which ones are new. I don't think it's that one. It should be 2 new summer. I think it's this one and this one. So again, why? This one I would just put on for shits and giggles. Ugh. You have to have a kitty cat named tank to wear this one. Oh, brother. And the French. Where do I have a French tank? There's a French tank. And what did I get? 3 new summer. Let's take a look. Yikes. If you're going to a costume party, this might work, but damn. That's, colorful. Wow. Okay. I'm not quite sure what this paint is supposed to do. Blind them? Distract them with your dazzling colors? Wow. This one, holy crap, that makes you green. I mean, the French tanks are already green, but damn. I guess this blends in pretty well with grass and, you know, slight bush cover and shrubberies, but I can understand this one. This one, you know, has a point, but this? Where the hell would this blend in the summer? On a green patch of land, you'll be brown and orange. I'm not sure, and this one, I don't even know. Oh boy. Okay, enough of that shenanigans. Let's take a look at the new map. We'll go into create, and it is called Sacred Valley. So we'll scroll down to the S. And there we go. Since sadly, I'm currently alone on the test server here, and nobody else is on, I cannot go into an actual battle. I will show you, once I get an actual battle on this map, a preview of it, but for now, I'll just do an overview of the mini-map. It's a very diverse map. It kind of reminds me of Dragon's Ridge, because you have the different elements. You have the sort of open around the corner fights on the outsides. Then in the middle you have a lot of town cover. So I'm not quite sure how this one's going to play out, but you have a lot of flanks to cover. Practically it's 3 flanks, 2 outsides and the middle, but the middle area is huge. So you're going to have cover on this side and probably on this side as well. If the enemy gets into this town, they can decimate your flanks and flank around, so you're going to have to cover both these sides. So I'm not quite sure how that is going to work out. I haven't been on the map yet, so I don't know too much about it, but while we're at it, mine now has a encounter version. I have not seen this one yet, but it looks kind of interesting. Although, aren't you kind of screwed if you start here and you want to go to the cap? You have to go through the water, up the hill, around. It's gonna be interesting. I'm not quite sure how this is gonna work out on such a small map. I'm almost thinking that this is going to play out exactly the same as a normal battle. That there's no difference whatsoever. Not sure yet. Again, once I get into a battle with this map, I'll have some more insight into it. Lakeville and Redshire also got a encounter version, so we'll take a look at Lakeville. Interesting. This one I can definitely see work. It's a larger map. You have this direct route to the enemy base, 2 of them actually to cover, and then also cover the city. So that means that this valley is probably going to be more and more important, as well as this road, and the town is going to be slightly less important. And the last one is Redshire. I'm blind, there we go. Oh, that's an interesting one. Did not expect it like that. Okay. I have the feeling that the red team is gonna have an advantage on this one, because the red team can basically drop down here alongside and go up this hill, and they'll have the hill cover and these embankments here and can just cut you off, although the other team has the ridge lines here, here, and here, and here. There's like 3 or 4 in a row. I'm not quite sure. I would think this one is unbalanced, but again, I haven't played it yet. But I would think that the red team would be at a advantage. Okay, well that's it for the map changes. Garage, no change. Shell changes. Where is my M4 derp? I mean Sherman. I don't shoot the heat shells. However, the heat shells got a nerf, which in all fairness was massively necessary. It now costs 10 gold, where it used to be 6, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm pretty sure that this price is higher as well. I think it was about 3 or 2.5k a piece, something like that. So price went up. And more importantly, let's get out of here. Pick up the gun here. The heat shells now have 101 penetration, as opposed to 150 before. So they got nerfed 50 pen there. I still think it's on the high side. I mean, 101 can still go through most frontal armors. So it's gonna be, you know, I don't know. I don't know if it's nerfed enough I mean, I get that they're premium, but they shouldn't be OP, and the M4 with the premium rounds was. I've never fired a single one in my life, but they were OP, clearly. Another thing that I'm not 100% sure, but I've heard some rumors and some talks, is that some of the tier 10s got slightly nerfed in the pen department. Although having 295 pen, I'm not quite sure. Might just be for the heavy tanks. No, wrong one. I said where's the heavy? There's the heavy. For the heavy tanks, 258. Yeah, I do believe that's a slight nerf of about 11 penetration, but not 100% sure about that. So don't quote me on that one, but I think they've nerfed the top-end guns slightly and changed some things around penetration and the way it's calculated to make armor count for more. So your tier 10s are effectively gonna have more armor or more protection against shots. So the tier 10 should be slightly better. Now another quite important new change is the economy. Tier 6 to tier 10 all got improvements in the amount of money they make. I've been doing some testing in this department, and yes, I see a difference, but, huge ass but. Let's see, if we scroll, my Centurion. If you've played the Centurion Mark 1, you know that the gun is great, but the tank is shit. And if you've played it, you know what I mean. However, wrong one. I made 7.6k in this one because I didn't get destroyed. If I got destroyed, that would have been minus almost 14k. That is only the money I made. And I know I didn't do too much here, but still. This tank loses money like crazy. So, in that department, yes, it loses less money now. But still, I only managed to get a profit in 1 out of 5 games. Granted that most of the games were complete tier 10s and I was the only tier 8 in it, but still. So, is the economy gonna have a huge impact? It doesn't seem so. I haven't tried a lot of the other tanks yet, but for instance my Type 62, which should theoretically be affected by the economy change as well, because I've read somewhere that the premium tanks in between were affected as well. So between 6 and 10, well, 6 and 7 technically, because the tier 8 ones are not changed. So only tier 6 and 7 premium tanks would make more money. But if anything, I'm making less money a game, but then again, that could be again because of the tier 10 problem. All I'm getting into is tier 10 games where I can, I can spot a little bit, but damage-wise, they fire one shot at me and I'm basically gone. So, it's hard to do well on those, and test server, it's just crap. So, if anything, it looks like this tank is making less money, but I'll get back to you on that one, because that cannot be right. And if that's right, I'm gonna start a huge-ass campaign that they fix that crap. So, what else do we have? The after battle screen has got some updates, and we'll just pick this one, doesn't matter. Yes, this is the new Excelsior tank. I will talk to you about this in a little bit. I'm planning a separate review of it, so you're gonna have to wait for that. And this game will be included, so shh, spoilers. Anyways, this is new. If you look here, you'll see that we have some extra information here. 148 damage upon spotting, and 0 damage upon shooting the track. So now if you track people, you actually get credits the similar way basically as spotting someone. So you keep them tracked. While they're tracked, they take damage from an ally, from your team, that is, not from theirs. You get money for it in credits, probably 50%. So technically it works the same as spotting. Now if you both spot the vehicle and immediately track it, I'm not sure if you would get double credits for that. That might be interesting to test. I don't think I tracked anyone in this game. No, so I can't show you that. This is still the same. Here you can now actually see that I destroyed that person's track, but nobody did damage to him when I tracked him. Darn. So I knocked out his track and I destroyed his track, so that is new. You can now actually see what you did critically. And here we have total damage and number of penetrating shots, which is kind of weird because that's already on here. I would have much rather seen the amount of shots fired at them, penetrating and non-penetrating, and non-damage shots, so, you know, critical damage but no actual damage. And just destroyed. Team score is still exactly the same. Over here we have hits received, penetrating hits, splash damage, and non-penetrating hits. So I bounced one, I got shot 5 times, and got penetrated 5 times. So that's the only real nil thing here. Let's see, what else do we have? Some of the inscriptions have been removed and people will be refunded. So those are the exterior markings you can put on your tank. They have made, let's see, new accounts, almost forgot, new accounts will get a 100% crew on a tank, on a tier 1 tank. I do believe it goes for all your tier 1 tanks, so the whole, you know, all 6 of them, I think, will get 100% crew. The next change is the spall liner. The spall liner, oh, you can look at it here. Where is it? Here it is. Light spall liner does only 15%, so if it's on a, you know, small to medium tank, it's really not going to do you much good anyways. So the light one is pretty worthless. They might as well just removed it, but whatever. Then we now have the addition of the super heavy spall liner. 30% to armor protection from ramming and explosions. This only goes for tanks that are above 80 tons from the top of my head. Yeah, 80 tons. So anything above 80 tons, so that would be the KV5, the KV4. They've redone this tree, I can't find a tank thing. T95, there we go. T95 will definitely get one. So that means that your big ass slow tanks are gonna get more artillery protection. Woohoo! Well, we already went over this, but the heat shells can ricochet now if the angle is greater than 80 degrees. So there's a lot of nerfs going around the heat and the high explosive variation shells, which was pretty much necessary. Let's face it, they were OP. Suspension now also works as spaced armor when it comes to heat shells. So this means is if they shoot you in your tracks, it will first go through your tracks, then have basically diminishing returns the further they go into you. So their initial hit is gonna be like, let's say here. Then the further they travel the shell, the less damage it will do. So having big tracks basically will save you damage, so that's a pretty good thing. The camouflage changes. Yeah, that's gonna have quite a bit of impact, I think. The camouflage. I don't know why I went to this tank. Doesn't matter. The camouflage reduces. They actually removed the 25% notification from here. Ha. Quick. Well, explanation how it worked before. The camo net tied into a formula that was based on your base camouflage value of your tank. Light tanks and TDs have good camo values, depending on which one though. Big tanks overall do not. Okay? Now, the camo net now, and camouflage on your tank, so the paint job, have a fixed value. So let's say that they reduce it by 50 meters. I don't know what it is, but let's say it's 50 meters. So having both of them on would decrease it by 100 meters. While before, on any tank, while before it would only do, let's say your base camo value is 10 on a very big tank, and give you 25% of that, that makes it, let's say 14, and then have another one from your 5% from your camo, and then you end up with, let's say, 15. It doesn't add up to anything, because your base value is already so low, it's not going to do a damn thing. So this is quite a huge change, because this means that bigger tanks, like the Centurion for instance, will actually benefit from camo and a camo net. You can actually stay hidden a lot better, because this tank has negative camo value. If you shoot on one end of the map, the other end of the map will see you. That's how bad it is. So this can have quite a big impact on medium to big sized TDs and stuff. However, the counter to this problem, sort of, that they create of invisible tanks, because, better camo value overall, is that the camo value of fallen trees and bushes has been reduced. So this reduction wasn't too great from what I heard, but it's gonna be noticeable. So keep that in mind for your light tanks. This might be quite a big change for the light tanks, because bushes will not offer as much camouflage. One thing I forgot to mention about the artillery is that the shell travel time, so between your shot and the shell actually landing, has been increased. In some cases, when you're talking about the mortar guns, so the short-barreled mortar guns, by 50% extra time. This means it's going to be a lot harder, and you're going to have to relearn to aim, basically, because there's just so much more time between shooting and hitting that you're going to have to lead your target, if you shoot on the move, a lot more than before. And with the normal guns, it's going to be, I don't remember from the top of my head, I think like 20% or 30% extra travel time for the shell. This is, however, somewhat countered by the reload speed. Has gone down by as much as 20% in some tanks. So you reload faster, but your shell takes longer to hit. The tracers are gonna get a change, I would say. You won't be able to see tracers from invisible tanks anymore. They won't be there. If the tank is invisible, you don't see the tracers. And I don't think, but I'm not entirely sure, but I don't think you see any tracers from the enemy team but the artillery. So the artillery is pretty much the only tracer you can see, and from what I heard, they are thinking about, but it depends on the test, on maybe activating it for your own team, for just your allies, or they're gonna tweak it. It's just a test for them, basically. So that might change over time, but for now tracers have been disabled, and the only one that can see tracers is artillery in bird's eye view, and they have to be over the location where it got shot from, I do believe. Let's see. Another big change for artillery and TDs is that the 33% damage experience reduction that they previously had has been removed. So you're gonna see a lot more TDs, and artilleries get a lot more experience. Now, I don't think they needed to do that for artillery, because I don't want people to level up their artillery. But for TDs, it was kind of necessary. It was very hard to get a good score on a TD, because A, people are spawning for you, so you're not the initial spot. And most of the time, at least. Not always, of course. And B, you had a 33% reduction. So that will give a good boost to your experience. Another great thing they've added, and let me go into the menu real quick here, settings, is this: enable dynamic camera. Turn this on. It should be on by default, but if it isn't, turn it on. What this means is if you're driving over bumpy terrain, your camera will actually stay put at where you're aiming. If you're zigzagging and going over little bumps, your camera, in sniper mode I might add, will stay where you're aiming. It's gonna take a little bit of getting used to, because it feels like your camera or your aim is sort of fighting you. So you have to sort of relearn to use it. There's a little bit of a problem here and there, but overall it works pretty well, and it's such a relief driving over tracks and stuff that your gun doesn't bounce all over the place, because that was driving me nuts. You literally, it cost you 5 seconds when you drove over a track to get your gun down first of all, depression. Then re-aim, wait for it to zoom in again, and then you could shoot. It cost you like 5 to 10 seconds before you could bloody shoot. This is now partially at least gone, which is nice. They've made some changes on fjords. Some houses there can now be destroyed. They made some changes to the assault mode on Westfield. They increased the depression and elevation of the Black Princess gun, Matilda Black Prince, so you can shoot higher and lower now, which is nice. Then we have seen that the premium shells have been rebalanced. Like I said earlier, they have run basically a system to check how efficient a shell is based on its penetration and damage, and some of them were just way too OP for what they cost. So the price on a lot of them, some of them will have been moved down, some of them up. You're gonna have to see for yourself if you shoot premium at all. I don't shoot premium on most tanks. I just have a couple on some of my premium tanks. And I don't have a bloody clue what they cost before, so I really couldn't tell you if they gone up or down. This is one of the few tanks that has premium shells for me, and I think this price actually went up. Pretty sure. Yeah, they were 10 gold, I think, and now 11, so went up like 400. Yeah, 400 credits. Let's see, what else do we have? The maps Moravonka, White Park, and Airfield have been redone for basically the 8.0 physics, which usually means that they've introduced some new bumps, they removed some bumps, and some things have shifted around slightly. I haven't been on the map, so I'm not quite sure what changed yet, but overall the trend I've been seeing is that you need a lot more gun depression for these maps. When they've been redone, there's just so many more little hiding spots where you can go hold down. They are all over the place. This is good news and bad news. If you play tanks that are absolute snipers, long-range snipers, this is crap. If you have tanks with low gun depression, this is crap. If you look back through all the maps that they've changed so far, on almost all of them, more and more sniper positions are being removed. They are forcing you to go close, face-hugging combat. Which is nice if you have a tank with a lot of armor, but if you have tanks that don't have a lot of armor, you're screwed. If you have tanks with that depression, you're screwed. So, yeah, I'm not too overly fond of the way they're redoing it, but, you know, we'll see. There were some visual changes on the map Runeberg. Not quite sure where or how. I haven't noticed them. I think I've been on it. I did 1 or 2 games on it, so I'm not quite sure what they changed, but they made some sound improvements. Some of the sounds are different now. Earlier I noticed a sound when the game was over. At the very end, somebody's crew said something. I don't know what it was though, I couldn't hear it. And the sounds when you get hit and when bullets are whizzing by, I think, but I'm not entirely sure. So they've introduced some new soundscaping, I guess you could call it, when bullets whiz by and you hear them. Although again, I'm not 100% sure if that was the case, but I do believe so. The technical improvements, they now have a mechanism of informing you about memory leaks. So if there are any memory leaks occurring in your game client, they will tell you, which is a very nice feature for debugging and finding out if plugins leak or whatever's going on. And they also have a new system that adjusts the quality of your game whenever you are basically in a demanding area. And I don't know if you can turn this on or off. Dynamic change, affect quality. There we go. You can turn this on or off. So what this does is it might actually turn some of these things down so that your frame rate doesn't drop below a certain threshold. And I don't know what this threshold is, but I would say probably 10 frames or 20 frames. Something in that area. They fixed a couple of names on the French modules, so nothing really interesting there. They fixed low turning speeds on some of the vehicles on bridges. I haven't really noticed this bug. Let me know in the comments if anybody had this issue and on what tanks, because I never noticed it. They fixed some things in the tutorials. They fixed some small collision models and some errors in improving, let's see, fixed errors and improved the display of dynamic shades. So, interesting stuff there. Now, 2 more things on my list and then we're almost done, so stick with it. You can do it. The E100 had its turret moved forward by 30 centimeters. Tech 3, although you can't see anything, but we can look at the picture. So that means that the turret is now probably pretty much flush with this line here. Yeah, seems about right. This actually means that in actual gameplay, you're going to have to move your tank forward a lot less to shoot around the corner. Because normally, you would have to have the corner like here to be able to shoot around it at this angle. However, if the turret is here, you're only going to have to show like this much. The corner will be here. So that means you're only showing your track, and more than likely the shot will be, going to your track and you get tracked but not damaged. So this can have a huge impact for corner fighting on the E100. I'm not sure about the shells on this gun and how they were affected by this patch, especially the premium shells. I don't know anything about them, never had it, so not a clue if they're better or worse. Seem to have pretty monstrous penetration there. And I would say that the standard penetration of this gun is kind of lacking with 235. Never really looked at it, but I heard people complain about this gun, so I guess that's why. That is slightly low. And last but not least, we have a new, why did I leave the Tech 3? British tank, the Excelsior. It sounds a lot more exciting than it is, but that's for another video. Now the only last thing I want to note is on the test server right now, the M4A2E4 is in here. I have never seen that one. It's a premium tier 5 medium tank. It's pretty much a combination of the Jumbo and the E8. I think it looks slightly more like the Jumbo, I do believe, but it has the armor of the E8 pretty much. And the gun is the same on the T14, which is by all means not a great gun. So I'm not quite sure what the purpose of this thing is. Yeah, I don't know. So I just wanted to throw it out there. If you want to test it out, go on a test server right now and grab it while you can, because I don't think this will be in the normal server for sale. Or they might release it, I do not know. So I guess that about covers it. If you have any questions or remarks or requests or anything, let me know in the comments down below. We'll see what we can do. If your account has been created, don't hold me to this, but I think about 2 weeks ago, then you should be able to get on the test server. If your account is newer than that, you don't have access to the test server. And there's instructions on the website on how to download the test server. So that about covers everything, I think. If I forgot anything, let me know. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more, please subscribe. See you on the next one.